So what did you all learn this week?
All right. I'm Anika, by the way. I am a junior and a student partner with STLI, and I'm majoring in American Studies and APIA Studies. And something I learned this week was actually because I was sick for a good chunk of last week, and when I was feeling better, I went to an art club meeting. And a friend of mine there was telling me, "Yo, everyone's been sick. I've been sick, and I actually overdosed on Tylenol." And she was telling, I was saying, because oh my god, sorry, my thoughts are all over the place. But I know growing up, my mom was always been like, Tylenol is bad, don't take it, and she would never explain why. And that art club meeting, I finally got the explanation for why you shouldn't take too much Tylenol or whatnot. And my friend was telling me, I overdosed on Tylenol, and if I had liver damage or any kind of liver damage, I might have been done for. And she was telling me that it's very easy and very lethal to overdose on Tylenol because she was telling me the story of someone who went to VTech or something and took too much Tylenol and said that she only had 2 days to live after because she had liver damage. And every time you take Tylenol, I think it does something to your liver. I wasn't entirely sure, but if you take too much, it does every time you take it, it affects your liver, and if you take too much, it affects it a little in a way that you don't want it to.
Wow.
So
So there's no going back once you've damaged your liver.
That reminds me of something that happened to my brother when he was very young. I think he children's Tylenol is has a flavor to it, right? Like it's great
cherry
flavor.
flavored.
Yeah. I think he was 2 years old at the time or something, but he really liked the flavor of whatever Tylenol that we had, and I think he went and he somehow found a way to open it, and he just downed a whole bottle, and he ended up having to go to the emergency room, and they made him I don't know swallow charcoal
To pump it out.
to pump it out of his
Oh,
liver
wow.
and stuff like that, because otherwise his liver would have been done.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's alive and well now,
Thank
thankfully.
God. Yeah.
But yeah, that just reminded me of that. It was a scary experience.
I see.
Well, that's interesting. The Tylenol story is something you learned outside of class, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that I loved in my college days was how much I learned both inside and outside of class. But anything inside class that was interesting to you?
I mean, I was sick for a while, so missed a couple of classes.
Oh, I see. So learning can still happen even
Yeah.
when you're sick, as long as you keep your ears and eyes open. How about you, Salma?
All right. My name is Salma. I'm a sophomore. I'm a student partner with STLI, and I'm majoring in psych. I'm minoring in data science. And and one of my classes I'm taking for my minor is called ethics in data science. And we're just, I think the class is mainly just focused on the ethical quandaries that come up with data and using other people's data and that kind of thing. And this week we were talking about journalism and how journalism is nowadays, especially in the digital age, is kind of guided in part by audience metrics. So back in the day, apparently journalists didn't really I mean, there were interactions between the journalist and the audience, but the audience's interest in certain topics wasn't as much of a driving factor behind which topics were reported on as much as they are now. Because now you'll find in newsrooms and stuff like that, a lot of decisions are made based off website traffic and which articles have been read the most or engaged with the most and that kind of thing. So that was just really interesting to me. And right now I'm actually the paper that I'm writing for my term paper, I'm actually exploring a topic kind of similar to that, where it's those how news websites and that kind of thing, they recommend certain stories to you, and there's an algorithm behind that sort of looks at what you're interested in and what you as a user might be interested in, and it recommends stories based off of that. And so I was wanting to explore the connection, how those recommendation systems, whether in news or just other app platforms and that kind of thing, can contribute to that sort of ideological pipeline, where it's a user who has certain beliefs or certain inclinations already, if they if their algorithms like see that and like continue to recommend things that reinforce those beliefs, like how that can sort of lead to like the formation of an extremist ideology or a biased like ideology or that kind of thing. So that's what I'm like looking into right now.
Wow, yeah,
Super
really,
interesting.
really interesting.
Yeah.
So it seems like that sort of focus on storytelling, the whole Tylenol story,
Yeah.
that's the thing that you took away, and how important it is to hear those stories. And then that immediately signaled to you, Salma, a story that you recalled from way back, and
Yeah.
you know how your brother was affected by chugging Tylenol. That's interesting. And then that
Yeah.
made me think of my story, my Tylenol story. And now, you know, Salma, you're talking about that, how audience bias has now been is now driving the storytelling, rather than have it be back in the past, before we had all these metrics, how the audience would just hear what the reporter or the storyteller was interested in telling,
Yeah.
and how that's kind of been turned upside down now, where the storyteller, the artist, is forced to tell the stories that the audience wants to hear, and that's a really, really powerful message. Here's another thing that I learned. Okay, so this is something that was reinforced for me this week that kind of goes along with what you folks are talking about, is how important it is to target an audience, as a matter of fact, because what I've been doing is for years, I was sending emails to all of my faculty members to get them interested in participating in our events, and just sending it to a big list of faculty members. And that doesn't work as well as directing your message to individual faculty members. It takes a little bit longer, but having a personal message, addressing the faculty member and saying, dear John or dear Mary, I think you'd be interested in this particular thing, can be incredibly powerful. And I learned that lesson by, I was forced to advertise an event that we were having, Pub on the Patio, and we were eager to get good attendance. And I sent out emails to, first of all, we sent out something over the Digest, which is a more broad advertising mode for faculty members, and they have to sift through a whole lot of news stories and other opportunities. But then I also have a more directed targeting system, where I send an email to particular faculty members I think might be interested. And, I call them by name, and I put a little personal detail in there. And, it takes a little longer, but we had 120 people show up to our Pub on the Patio event, which was, it's a real boost in the arm, I think, for taking the effort to do things in a particular way. So I learned, it was reinforced, I kind of know it, but I learned that to take that extra time to make a personal appeal to people can be incredibly rewarding, and for them to feel like they are. So that kind of brings it full circle, proving your point that the better you are at targeting your audience, the better reaction you get from your audience, because they want to feel like they have a personal connection to the story that's being told, or the thing that's being requested of them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. We'll just close out.
How do we close out?
This is
Do
the
we
part
do
we
like
always
a-
struggle with.
Do we do a prayer at the end?
Okay, we're good.
We could do the Serenity Prayer if you want.